Hello guys, it's Johnny time and welcome to another Web3 Security interview. Today we have a special guest here on the show. He is so young and already made crazy achievements in smart contract auditing. And when I say young, I mean young. This guy is only 16 years old and he's part of the smart contract hacking course and community. And last month alone, he was able to make $5,500 a month just participating in different auditing competition and contents, different ones. And all of this is in the age of 16. You will be shocked because in a moment you're gonna see how young he is. I was shocked when I saw it the first time. And it's gonna be super interesting where we're gonna discuss about how he started at such a young age and all his experience, how he was able to progress and accomplish these achievements. So without further ado, let's get started. All right, Chris. So how are you? Glad to have you here on the show.
Yeah, I'm great. Thanks for asking.
Thanks for coming by and sharing your experience. And me and everyone are eager to hear about your background, about how you, in such young age, were able to achieve these amazing goals. And it's going to be super interesting. First, I wanted to ask you, how did you get started with computers at such a young age? You're 16 years old, already auditing smart contract, which is kind of an advanced topic. So when did the story of you and computer start? At what age and how was it?
So my start was like a little unorthodox, I'd say. Like I started at like 6 or 7 years old, like doing some dumb things, like playing GTA or something, like very normal and very child like things that a child would do. I essentially started by just playing games, goofed around, and then started doing some like more interesting stuff.
So you started playing games, which is a bit similar to my story. It's something that Dravi and I discussed a bit in the previous interview. We both like different kind of games. So you will more like the kind of like GTA first-person shooter games. So what kind of games did you play?
To be honest, I started out. Then I started like doing like playing Minecraft, like all the kids my age essentially. I believe you're a little older and may not have played this thing, but yeah, I essentially started like every other kid my age. Like
Playing
yeah,
Minecraft. Yeah, I never played Minecraft. I have friends who did it. I used to play World of Warcraft, Maple Story, MUN, and all these kind of MMORPG games. But funny story, I always see when I talk with Trust, you familiar with, you know who is Trust. So when we talk on Discord, I always see that his like status is like playing Minecraft. And someday I asked him, uh, are you playing Minecraft or you're auditing smart contracts? How are you able to play Minecraft and at the same time make so much awesome results in smart contract auditing? And yeah, so it's cool that I think that he also plays Minecraft, and it's I know that it's a game also that also develop your thinking and mind. So I guess it also helped you to get better in your thinking and imagination.
I couldn't agree more. Like the game essentially develops your creativity, I'd say. Like it's very childish, but it's actually does stuff on you. Like I can't really explain it, but I know a lot of people who have actually started with it and are actually rocking it in very like complex spheres at the moment.
Interesting. So you started playing computer games, but how did you like gain other knowledge, like how computers work? And you told me also that you are a programmer. So when you made this shift of like just playing computer games to started learning programming or hardware, software, these kind of things.
Uh, so I was always that computer kid that you see, like that nerdy, not so extroverted kid. I didn't like going out that much. I essentially just stayed playing there with like the three people I knew. Uh, just goofed around, like lived in my own world essentially. And like there wasn't like I didn't do much until like very recently actually. Like I was always just sitting there and entertaining myself rather than actually being into tech and like wondering how things like everything started like pretty late, I'd say.
Okay, at what age did you start like learning your first programming language?
So I believe like the first code I've written was like in PHP like 5-6 years ago. Maybe I was 12, 13. But like the actual start that I had was like learning C sharp and a bit of Java like 2 years ago, less than 2 years ago, something like that. Started
Wow,
with some.
cool, guys. I just want to make it clear. When he says 6 years ago, it means that he started coding when he was 10 years old, right? When you were 10 years
Yeah,
old.
like the fifth grade.
Cool. And what did you code? Like, what was your first program? Like, was it a website? Because you said like we mentioned PHP and
Uh Actually, like it wasn't anything like interesting. Like I started with like the dumb hello world, and then I started exploring like very basic stuff like if statements. Like I didn't do anything that complex. Like my brain couldn't handle it at that age. Like it was very obvious. Yeah.
yeah, I imagine also I started coding around the age of like 14, like HTML, CSS, JavaScript a little bit here and there. Also, I learned PHP. But yeah, it's a bit hard to grasp like programming concept in such a young age. And it's very impressive that you were able to start at such a young age and understand what is coding, how to write programs. It's not easy.
Yeah, but like the key to actually starting young, in my opinion, is essentially like trying to simplify concepts to a point where like your kid brain can understand it. Like why would you like trouble yourself with like understanding how a reverse proxy works when you can explain it like you have a friend who is essentially forwarding all the things someone else says to you, and that's it. Like essentially everything comes down to how you handle information and how you actually get it, instead of actually trying to grasp the concept in a way that a uni student or like someone who's been in the profession does. Like everything is about the approach, in my opinion.
So you were simplifying concepts by using metaphors. Like if you learn about proxy, you would try to find a metaphor of like what it is in real life, basically.
uh Not exactly. Like this is something I actually figured out works very good at a later stage, pretty recently actually. But beforehand, I was essentially like the whole process was essentially me taking something and chopping it down to like very bite-sized pieces. Like uh, I was never like trying to overload myself, even though I did it like most times. But like overloading yourself doesn't lead to something very good. Yeah, I try to be
Step by
very,
step.
yeah, essentially.
And what motivated you to actually start coding? Like you started playing computer games and then one day you decided, okay, I'm gonna learn PHP. Like what was the thing that made you start doing that?
Uh, so everything revolves around Minecraft again. Uh,
Okay.
like I met like my friend group at the moment, who were actually some very talented people who were in tech, and everything went like everything happened because of a Minecraft server, of course. Uh, Essentially, we met. I was very bored. It was like the start of summer break, like 2 years ago. I was very bored, so I didn't know what to do with essentially the 100 days I had ahead of me. And I started like doing what the others were doing in their like pastime activities. Like started experimenting with it and thought it was cool. So like yeah, everything was very strange. I'd say like wasn't very normal.
Yeah, interesting. So your friends from like the industry, the friends that are like actually programming already, they inspired you to learn programming and do these kind of things, right? If I'm not wrong.
Uh I guess so. Like the whole thing was essentially I was bored. I looked at what they were doing and I was like, why not? Like I believe everything like it looks cool. I've been into tech my whole life. That's what I've been doing. Why not like try and do something useful with it, essentially.
Yeah, because games are useful, but it's also sometimes when you do it too much, it's a bit waste of time. And but it leads you to do interesting things. Like for me, it was learning English or learn hacking a bit. And for you, it seems like something like it's like easy to make the shift. When you are motivated about game, you will also be motivated about coding and hacking because it's like kind of like accomplishing thing in the game. As I feel it is like when I was accomplishing thing in the game, it's like I'm accomplishing things in life. So if it's like skills, like leveling up and getting more skills for my character in real life, I'm getting better in auditing, I'm learning better Solidity, I'm learning Cairo. If it's like items and drops, it's like in the monetary state, right? Because in the real life, you also like make money and invest and all these kind of things. So it's like you can find a lot of similarities between like games to real life. And it's very, very interesting to hear that you also started with games and shifted to make it something like valuable in the real life.
Yeah, actually, yes, yes. So gamifying your learning is actually something very useful. It helped me out a bit as well. But it like depends on what type of person you are. If you are like that competitive type of person who actually likes like achieving stuff, like if you're that guy that feels good after they've completed a mission or something, you are definitely someone who should try like gamifying whatever they're doing. It could be like the sphere that we're in, can be like working out and stuff. Like it can be everything. Like gamifying your approach is something that leads to some very consistent results and to a certain degree of discipline.
I totally agree. Gamifying your system and your learning process can help you progress a lot. Not only learning everything, basically, every goals and achievements. By the way, that's why I invested a lot of time to make the course website in like a gamified way. So every time you finish a lecture or an exercise, you have like the percentage on top and you can mark it as check. So it gives a bit of dopamine and pushes you to go forward and complete the course. Did you enjoy this like gamification process? Did it help you like progress better?
Actually, the progress bar is something that I've been looking forward to. Like seeing something go up and like I'm almost there. I'm almost there. Actually helps a lot. Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the
It's fun. I wish I would do. I mean, I wouldn't do the course myself because. By the way, we're talking about a contract hacking course that Chris is also part of it. He completed the course. He's like graduate, and I wish I would be able to have like same course to do it myself, but it wouldn't make sense because I'm the one who recorded all the videos. But I believe that the experience in the student side is very, very like nice. I hope so.
immersive, I'd say.
Cool, cool.
Yeah.
So you learned programming yourself. You started coding like for your fun and for your free time. And then last year at the age of 15, you started working as a consultant in an IT company, right? At such young age and started monetizing these skills that you gained to actually make some money. And can you tell us a bit about this experience?
So the whole gig I was doing was essentially like full stack there. Like a very normal beginning. Started like doing like first some websites, then I did some e-commerce projects, worked with actual clients, like saw what the industry is like. And actually for the brief time I was doing it and I'm doing it, it actually opened my like perspective on it. Like uh even if you are building something very complex in private and it's like a personal project, but like if it's personal and it's in private and you don't have like any client communication, I believe it doesn't actually yield the same learning opportunity for you. It doesn't actually um, allow you to experience like the real life headaches and like problems when dealing with people. Uh, like catering to someone else's opinion uh, is something very hard. Like making consensuses with people and trying to like agree upon something is very hard as well. So it definitely teaches you that part. Not that much like coding in general, I'd say, but it's like teaches you some good practices and how to deal with people more, in my opinion. At least that's what I got from it.
That's super cool. And we are also a bit similar in that manner, because I also worked at the age of 16, not 15. I worked as like kind of like a freelancer part-time job in an IT company that was doing e-commerce. They were doing like websites in PHP and Magento, and I was coding there sometimes, like mostly like front end, like HTML, CSS. But for me, it was cool. I was like, while all my friends worked in restaurants and stuff, I was like working from an office with an AC and got a nice pay. Not very nice, It's for Israel, it was quite low. It was like around $15 per working hour. For Israel, it's like I made like the same money that my friends made in other jobs, but it was like more in an office and like from home sometimes, and it was super cool. I remember that I really appreciated it, and I learned a lot. It really opened my perspective. If I might ask, like if I can ask, how much was your pay for this job? Like, how much did you get paid?
So it varied around 2011 hour. So that's like $11, $12. It's a relatively good salary for like where I live, for Bulgaria. It's definitely a very good
So
salary.
$11
But
per hour,
for
something
like
like
in the
that.
future, yeah,
Yeah. So for
yeah,
you
11
are
hours,
from
like
Bulgaria, and
11,
it's
$12
it's
per
it
hour.
seems like quite good for someone in such age in this kind of country where this is like I assume the average income, and for first job, it's actually impressive.
Uh, to be honest, I believe it's like so maybe it's like twice the median salary, I guess. Like it isn't that much, but it's a lot for like the standard here.
How was you able to get this gig? You said it was a one-time gig, but how did you eventually got it? Like, who? It was a connection. It was
Uh,
an ad.
so it's something local, like in the so the company is like essentially doing work around Bulgaria. They're like an artisan like development firm, and I like got linked through some relatives that I have, like essentially managed to be in the right place at the right time, essentially.
That's cool. And so you started as a development career. You started coding, you did some gigs, and then you shifted to Web3 security. I wanted to ask, in the middle between development career to Web3 security, um, did you learn about traditional hacking, like Web2 hacking, like hacking personal computers or websites, like SQL injection, remote code execution, or you directly shifted to Web3 security?
I knew about like all of the standard attack vectors that you would have in a normal like Web2 environment, because like I was a developer, I needed to make sure that those things don't happen on the stuff I wrote. So yes, I knew how to like secure myself against them per se. Like I did all of that stuff that you need to do on the front end to make sure someone cannot hijack your token or something else. So there cannot be any like malicious XML. It's say like some sort of a thing that they execute on your like front end. Like yeah, all of the normal stuff. Like essentially, like knew about the normal developer stuff, and I didn't know much about why they happened and stuff like that. Like the only stuff that I was a little more deep into were like, as you said, SQL injections, just because I was very like into like doing business logic and not that much front end. Like I'm a very like back end guy, I'd say. Like this is what I like doing most.
I see. So you didn't learn cybersecurity in particular or hacking, but because you were writing code, you wanted to make sure that the code is safe. So you learned some best practices. If it's like backend security or front-end security, if it's like cross-site scripting, SQL injection, to make sure that your code is not vulnerable. But you never learned like how to hack websites or like how to exploit things.
Yes, essentially, like the furthest I went was like trying to like inject some uh like a little SQL scripts on like some inputs here and there, but that was it. I didn't do much other than that.
And then something truly amazing happened. You found Pashov's community, right? So you're a Bulgarian, Pashov is also Bulgarian, and you joined Pashov's community. And by joining the community, can you tell us about the experience of like how you find Pashov's community, when it happened, and just tell us about the story.
So it was a very big coincidence, I'd say. Like I like found him through his YouTube channel essentially. I got recommended one of his videos. I like started like watching some of his stuff. Then I like looked at the description and it said join my Discord community for like IT from Bulgaria. I joined it and like started getting to know the people there. Uh, and yes, that's like how I got into it. But like that was around October of 2022. And then like that was the period that he just started like going into security as well. Like I believe he had just left his job and started like working full-time security. And he started preaching about it in like the Discord channel. And again, that's like October/November of 2022. But I didn't listen to him essentially. Like I was too carried away with like doing my consulting gigs I had. Like I just stayed there and thought like it's a good job. I like doing it. That's it. And didn't think much of what Pashov was saying. Yes, I like looked into what Solidity is and what blockchain is, but I didn't know much other than the basics. Like I wasn't particularly like educated in that regard.
Okay, so you basically joined the community not from the perspective of like learning Web3 security, but just because it was a local community of IT professionals in Bulgaria, and you wanted to be part of community or just meet some people, I assume, right? And then Pashov started talking about Web3 security in the community, and you just ignore it. You're like, what the hell is Solidity? What the hell is this? I'm just gonna make my own thing. I'm gonna keep coding, make some gigs, make some money. Why do I need to even start with Web3 security? In October 2022.
Yeah, essentially I was just doing my own thing. I was earning some like good money for here, and I was like very like focused on it. I didn't like think much of it. I wasn't the only one doing it. Like there were like a few other people who are actually crushing it at the moment, who actually did the same thing as me. Like they didn't listen to it until much later. To be exact, like early 2022. And yeah, all of us are like the people who started back then are like doing good, I believe, at the moment.
So first of all, I want to make a huge shout out to Pashov that is bringing a lot of talented people to the Web3 security space. It seems like it's working. We will hear in a moment how you started and how you decided to jump into Web3 security. Okay, so what and when eventually made you change your mind and deep dive into Web3 security? What it was like a one message from Pashov? It was just sometime that you were bored and you wanted to explore something new. What made you change your mind?
So like he didn't stop preaching about it. Like I believe every other week, like he was just go ahead, you'll like it, you'll see what opportunity lies there. It's very undeveloped. You'll have great success. Go ahead, stuff like that. Like he was very supportive and actually looked like he knew what he was like preaching to us. Like he knew what is going to happen if we like move forward. Some listened like faster, some like me delayed it a bit, but essentially most of us just like started doing it sooner or later. So the period, like the time at which I like started doing it was, I believe, like the last days of February this year. So that's like 4 months or even less, I believe. 3 months and something.
Wow. You just started Web3 security 4 months ago. Are you sure?
Yeah.
That's insane. That's insane. That's very, very insane. So 4 months ago only, you started exploring Web3 security. And how did you start? Did you have like, what resources did you utilize? What was your progress like? What was your roadmap? Because there are so many roadmap threads and videos, and also I prepared a roadmap article and video, but I think it would be very interesting to hear what was your approach and how did you start from knowing nothing about Solidity and Web3 security to the stage where you are in, which is something that we'll discuss later.
Unfortunately, like Pashov wasn't the only one who was telling that to me. The trigger I got was essentially looking at some crypto videos on like YouTube. I looked at I got recommended some what is Ethereum, how does blockchain work and stuff like that. And from a pure development perspective, I was like, what is the data structure that is called blockchain? What is it? How is it structured? Why is it used? And stuff like that, like normal developer questions. Why does this infrastructure get used by so many people? And I got curious, so I started like looking into what possibilities it offered, and got excited little by little. Then remembered that there were some very talented people at my fingertips, essentially, who were crushing it at that time. Like Pashov was doing amazing stuff, since like 2023 started. So I like looked at what resources they like posted and started with like looking at DeFi videos. Like I started
This is, sorry for interrupting, but this is before learning even Solidity. You just learn the theoretical
yes.
stuff. What is blockchain? What is DeFi? The use cases, right?
Yeah, I figured out that because I'm a developer, Solidity is going to be a very minor like change because it resembles TypeScript in a way. Like it has some object-oriented buttons. It's very similar in typing. It's strongly typed. Essentially, it's the type of language that I'm most comfortable with. Like the design patterns were very similar to like what you would see in like web dev and like Web2. So it wasn't very much of a hiccup for me. So I decided to like go into DeFi first. There was something called a liquidity pool, which scared me to my core. So I like started looking at such videos. I started like watching Finematics and Whiteboard Crypto. Like essentially went through their whole channels. Didn't get much at first, but like got a little at the second like pass through their videos and like a bit more on the third pass and stuff like that. Little by little, essentially.
Did you have any financial knowledge? Because I believe that grasping DeFi the first time, lending protocols, liquidity pool, for me at least, it was a bit hard because I didn't have much financial background. Like, what the hell is liquidity? What the hell are lending protocols, liquidation, loan to value, all these kind of terms? Like, you didn't have any financial background before, right? Or did you?
Absolutely no. Absolutely none. I learned everything on the go, essentially.
Yeah, so you learned finance through DeFi a little bit, something that I did essentially. Yeah, this is the cool thing about DeFi. It's like the future of finance. So by learning, but there are still like terms and glossary and things that are being used from traditional finance with lending protocols, money markets, and such.
Yeah, fancy words are a big problem of mine. Like they bring too much complexity into stuff that should be much more like simple. Even a liquidity pool, like it sounds so intimidating and strange and like it's essentially like an alien. But if you look into it, there's just like a bucket with two things built into it, and when you like put more of one, you get more of the other, and that's it. Like it's very simple if you just explain it in a more understandable way, like the thing that we said before. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like someone was trying on purpose to make it harder for people to understand when he came with all this terminology of like threshold, liquidity, liquidation, and all these kind of terms.
Yeah, limit orders, stuff like that. Yeah.
Bid, ask. You can just say buy and sell. Like, why bid and ask? Yeah.
Yeah, it's very convoluted. Like I don't get it, but like smarter, like people who are smarter than me, like decided upon it. So like I cannot debate it, unfortunately.
Yeah, but once you grasp it, once you learn, I'm trying to simplify it as much as I can in my YouTube videos, in the course, but eventually it's possible because once you know, like, you have kind of like translation in your head. Okay, liquidity means like water liquidity, but in money. So the more liquidity you
Essentially.
have, the more stable the price is going to be, right? The more liquid, the volume, also volume is like trading volume, like how many times money exchanges hands. This is like basically volume. And this term can be used in decentralized exchanges, in centralized exchanges, in the stock market, and even in the real estate market. If there are a lot of deals, people are buying and selling apartments, it's volume. So we're trying to simplify it by creating educational content, and this is how we should approach it eventually. And you were able to grasp all this knowledge just from free resources, YouTube videos. And did you start learning Solidity, or like, just doing some kind of challenges and stuff, or you skip that part?
Yeah, so like I didn't think much of Solidity at first. I thought it's very similar, and it turns out it is, but it has its own like special things to it. Like it's the same but different, let's say. So I didn't like start explicitly like learning it and like jumped straight to like damn vulnerable DeFi right after I learned about DeFi, which was
So you basically skip the Solidity development part, and you right after jump to some CTFs like capture the
yeah.
flag challenges like damn vulnerable DeFi, Ethernaut, or others.
So yes, and I like learned it little by little through like doing the challenges. Like didn't get almost anything of them at first. I needed to like check the hints and stuff because I first of all didn't know how hard works. I didn't know how the state machine worked correctly. So I also didn't have that adversary mindset. I'd say like I didn't know how do I think like someone who wants to break it instead of someone who wants to build, because like being a developer really helps in terms of like learning syntax and knowing how code works, but it actually gives you something else which doesn't help you that much, which is thinking of code as something you like building instead of something you like breaking. And it was a very big mindset change for me, definitely. So yeah, uh doing this CTF definitely like changed me a bit in like how I approach code, even like doing normal projects now. Like if I try and do some web dev or some other gig, if I like start doing it, I look at the code very differently, just because I am much more concerned about what can happen, because I know what is happening in DeFi like each day, essentially.
Exactly. So it's basically shifting your mindset from how to build stuff to how to break stuff. And I can tell from someone who's doing cybersecurity for many years, once you do it, like your muscle memory is like becoming like a paranoid muscle memory, because you know how that it's possible to hack your computer, your mobile phone, and also smart contracts, whatever you are building. Then you are more paranoid and more careful about everything. About if it's like your MacBook, then files that you execute. If it's Windows, like executable files or like apps that you download. And also it's basically developed this like attacker mindset that everything can be hacked. Doesn't matter, like just a matter of time and effort and resources, but everything can be hacked. And this is a mindset shift that needs to be done in order to shift from like developer career to like hacker auditor career.
Exactly, that's how I felt.
So it's very interesting, actually, that you said that you skipped the Solidity, the foundation part, like the Solidity, the Audit, and you jumped right into even the vulnerabilities. You didn't learn about like common pitfalls and like common like vulnerabilities in smart contracts. You just jumped into challenges and started like trying learn it like in the practical way, in the hard way, but this is actually the best way. So it's very interesting. I never like heard. Usually, I recommend people to go through Solidity, some frameworks, Audit, Foundry, and then maybe try some challenges or learn about attacks. But it's interesting that you did some kind of shortcut, and that's why you were able to grasp things so fast.
So it was both good and bad, because like it's good in the short term, like you may grasp some stuff a little earlier than you're supposed to and stuff like that, but it doesn't like provide you with a foundation. which was something that I needed to return to after I like learned about some concepts that I needed to learn afterwards, like after learning the basics. So I like started doing that then vulnerable DeFi challenge, and didn't know much of the attacks that need to be done. So I like checked the challenge, like looked at the description, think of a way, and mind you, this is before I even knew what reentrancy is. Then I essentially searched it up, checked how something like that needs to be solved, and like little by little grasped all of the concepts that were in the like the whole challenge solution. So I believe like the first challenge was some sort of a reentrancy or something. So I like checked the video. It was like, how do you solve that? I
You
wonder
mean
if it was your
mine video? Yeah, I have some damn vulnerable DeFi
yeah,
walkthroughs. Yeah.
may even have been yours. Yeah, could have been. I checked it out, saw how the concepts worked, and like started reading blog posts about everything and checking some resources here and there. Figured out what a reentrancy is, how you can enter from one function to the other function. Did a couple of challenges this way, and then figured out that if I want to progress much better, I need to get a solid base. So I invested a few days of my life into learning how the EVM works. Like um, thinking of like the EVM as a single threaded process was very helpful to me, like as a developer, because like it's actually much simpler than let's say like some advanced web server architecture, because you don't have any asynchronous processes, you don't have any tasks that execute periodically, you don't have stuff like that. You only have a single line of execution and that's it, and you think about it, and it was much easier grasping it. And I actually explained it as essentially people queuing at a line, and like someone trying to like front run the other and stuff like that.
For me, it was actually challenging because I came from dev and cybersecurity background to grasp the idea that it's like very different. You don't have like asynchronous progresses and like things that run in the background, or code can be executed only upon triggering like a transaction of EOA account sending to a contract. For me, it was a bit like odd for people that because maybe my mindset was a bit like tied into like traditional programming, and like shifting it into blockchain programming is a bit like challenging, I believe. But it's interesting to hear that for you it was actually not that challenging and makes more sense.
Exactly. So I believe we had pretty similar experiences with it. There were other like concepts which felt really foreign to me, because like the whole nature of the blockchain is that it's pure. It doesn't have any outside information. It cannot ping an endpoint and simply get information. So like naturally, oracles were something very strange for me.
Yeah. It's
It's
also
very
very
normal.
weird, like, you know, when you write an application, doesn't matter which programming language you use, you can scrape sources outside. If it's Python, you can scrape a website, you can connect to an API, get data, but in blockchain, it's not that simple. You need like an Oracle service, and how Oracle works is like a completely different thing. There need to be a consensus, and like it's complicated.
And even a concept like proxies, which is very similar to what you have in traditional development, is very different here, because you're using it for a completely different purpose, essentially. Like there, you're doing it for sanitization and stuff, and here you're doing it because of the problem with immutability. And
Exactly.
yeah,
Problem, you can call it problem, you can call it feature. It's actually supposed to be a feature, you know. The whole thing about blockchain is like a feature, but we made it a problem and then made upgradable smart contracts. But this is another discussion about like the decentralization of smart contracts.
it's a feature only if people write close to perfect code. If it's like people like doing mistakes and stuff, it's more of a problem in my opinion.
Yeah,
But
true.
it brings a lot of its problems, but it's definitely a feature here. Yes, these things were very hard for me to grasp. I still struggle with some like stuff regarding them. course, like most people, like no one can know everything, of course. But like trying to take everything into bite-sized chunks and not overloading yourself is really the key about it.
Super interesting. And at some point, you decided to take the smart contract hacking course. Can you tell us a bit about when and why did you decide to take it? How did you get exposed to the course and like why you decided to purchase it? And yeah,
Again, it was Pashov. He
for
told
sure.
us about it like a few weeks before it like came out. He was like, "This is going to be good. Like, check it out. You may like learn some stuff." So we checked it out. Some of us bought it, and yeah, here we are. Essentially, everything
Cool,
because of
cool.
Pashov.
So how long time ago was it? Like 2 months, maybe?
I believe like I bought it just a bit before the course started. Like
Before the
I
course started, so it aired on March. Just like 1 month after you started learning Web3 security, you decided to purchase
even
the
less.
course. Even
Yeah,
less.
yeah,
Cool.
very close.
So you simply just listen to Pashov's recommendation, and was it worth it? Like, did it something that helped you in your learning experience, in your development of your career?
Of course, it helped me with like the basis. As I said, I have a very untraditional approach to stuff. I don't like going through the basics as most people. I like diving into stuff that really interests me, so I can like keep that like feedback loop. I am very dependent on essentially feeling good about what I do, so I skip some important parts just so I have longevity. And I believe it's working to the most part, but it doesn't always work, of course. Like it's not the best approach, like not the most optimized for like long-term results, but it works in my case. So it helped me in terms of like actually learning about stuff that I needed to learn much earlier.
So it basically helped you fill the gaps and get like the foundation that you were lacking because you skipped some like steps in the process. Like it was good in a part
Yes.
because you gain like fast results, but the foundation was a bit like not stable, and the course basically helped you like solid this foundation, if I understand it correctly.
Yes, I was very unbalanced. Essentially, I was very deep into some stuff, but was completely like a complete newbie in some other stuff, which like I haven't like met in a contest yet or stuff like that or in a report. So that was like the whole situation. It helped me fill my gaps, as you said.
Cool. Apart from that, another extra benefit of the course is the community, and it's very supportive and nice community. Can you tell us a bit if you met some people from the community, if you got some value out of this community, made some friends, colleagues?
Of course, like some of the people who are like very active in the course are actually crushing it at the moment. I had the pleasure of actually talking to them, like seeing their process and like checking their brilliancy out. Like everything, everybody who I've met through the course was positive and actually had an inspiration for actually working hard instead of just waiting for stuff to happen because he was promised that.
Actually, last month you posted on Twitter that you took the third place in the Caviar private pools mitigation review contest or like a mitigation process, and just 1 month last month alone you made more than $5,000 in rewards in auditing contests. So this is super impressive for the amount of time that you studied and for your young age. And I wanted to start like, when did you start actually participating in auditing contests? Was it like meanwhile doing the course, before doing the course, or after completing the course?
I believe it was like like in the meantime, like when I was doing the course, I was like doing some like base reports in parallel. I started as like everyone else with some gas optimizations and QA. I believe like the first reward I got was like $2.50. It was strange, I'd say, like because I got like actually got money from it, but it wasn't anything Like
But I assume it
actually,
was your first money in Web3 security. So this $2.50 was
yes,
meaning something for you.
yeah, of course. Like it meant that it is possible. Like I wasn't there yet, but but like stuff were about to happen. So like I continued on. I like did a few contests. I believe I did like 3 contests in April. That was when I was like most active on Cold Arena. I started doing like the caviar contest. I believe I did also a contest called Symmetry and like some other contests that Cold Arena had at the time, and managed to like find some high/mediums there. But on the caviar contest, I managed to actually get a unique medium severity finding. Yeah, which was like a very obscure vector, which like turned out to be something that like no one else managed to find.
This is super cool. So as we know, the highest payout is when you basically bring the most amount value for the auditing contest. When you find a vulnerability that no one else did. And this is what you were able to do in the caviar contest. You basically got a medium severity, unique one that only you found. And just for this finding, you received $2.7K, which is pretty nice for one finding.
Yeah, it was definitely a good amount, especially for where I live. Like it was, like I believe I called it pocket money. It isn't pocket money, but still, it's a very good amount for like a few days of work. And
Exactly.
overall, a very cool experience. I
It's
believe
better
like
than $11 per hour, I assume.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So you're thankful for Pashov for shifting you to Web3 security in that manner.
Of course, of course, of course. Like and like the manner that I like figured out that I will get this type of payout was by another auditor from like Pashov's community called Kogo. He essentially DM'd me on Discord and was like, "Man, do you see what you did in like the caviar contest?" And I was like, "What?" And he essentially like showed me like how I got a solo finding in the backstage GitHub repo of Cold Arena, and I started freaking out for a few hours.
You didn't
Then
believe, you didn't expect it to happen. You did a contest and you didn't expect to have like a unique finding and this kind of payout.
I was both stressed and very excited because I didn't know what to expect. So I tried to forget about it, went on a walk for a couple hours, then returned back home, just sat on my computer, started like auditing the protocol I was doing at that moment, and just saw a red notification from Cold Arena on Discord, and like my feet became very like loose, I suppose.
That's a very nice surprise.
They couldn't
Very
like
nice
hold me much.
notification to receive.
And I like thought that I'm going to get like $1,000 or something like that. Like even the thing that I got was very uh surprising, I'd say.
So you made in total around 5.3, $5.4 thousand, $5,400, $5,300. This was 2.7K. So how did you make the rest in other contests?
So like half was from like the unique finding, and then the other half was from doing the mitigation review, and then I also like got a small amount from another place that I believe we're probably going to discuss in a bit.
Yeah, from the EarlyMint contents. We'll discuss it in a bit, but before, do
Yeah.
you have any tips for beginners that are starting with Codarena, like tips that will help them to find this unique finding? I know that it's just like one experience that you had, like, but I'm sure you have some like useful tips to share with beginners of like how you approach the first contents and contests and how you manage to find this unique finding.
So I have a few things to say. So the first one is don't be scared. Like it's normal for everyone to like feel a bit like a bit of anxiety when doing stuff like that, because you like have a fear of being judged and like a fear that you may like fail miserably. At least that's what I felt. And but like it gets better over time. You just need to get through that. The second thing is do practice audits. I believe it's a very good way of learning. Essentially, pick something easier out and like start finding vulnerabilities there, so you actually can like get over that feeling of like not like living up to what you thought you can do, and to actually like boost your ego in a sense, because like a lot of stuff in this sphere are really related to like how you feel. Actually, your mind is much more powerful than you think. Like if you think there is a vulnerability there, you are most certainly going to find it, and if you don't, you are not, essentially. So yeah, this is the second one, and the third one is like just discipline. You need to have a time every day just in which you just like working and improving. That's it. Like it's very simple but very hard to execute on.
You're saying that the tip would be just believe in yourself and don't be afraid to jump into contests. It's also about of mindset. If you see if you imagine that you can find vulnerability and you actually believe in it, you will eventually do it.
Actually, yes, that's it. Like this is the short form of the framework that you need to follow.
All right. So apart from auditing and participating in Code Arena, you managed to get the second spot in the audit that we had in the community. We had an audit inside the Blockchain Security Academy community for people who are the students of the smart contract hacking course, and it was some kind of contest, and you will manage to get the second place and earn some bounty from it, monetary bounty. So can you tell a bit about the experience, about what this audit was, how you approached it, how was the process, and how much money were you able to make?
Like essentially, I don't know if I can like say what the protocol was.
You can say in general, like in summary.
It was essentially like a EarlyMint thing, like protocol, essentially like saving the spots for like NFT mints and stuff like that. It was like a cool idea. It had some like very known vulnerabilities, just because like the devs weren't super into security, but it was like good, I'd say. Uh, Essentially, then I started like unveiling what it can do. Uh, it didn't have much docs, so it was mainly like me reading code. But I still managed to like find like 7 highs, I believe, like some good amount, I believe.
7 eyes is nice.
Yeah, definitely.
And you were chosen like the second place. How much money were you able to make?
Well, it was like less than $200, like around there, like 0.18. So like
Yeah.
it was some nice amount.
Yeah,
Like
it was
for
like
that amount of time.
several $100, like 0 point something, 0.1 or 0.2 something ETH. I don't remember exactly
Yeah.
what was the amount. But basically, it's cool because you get some hands-on experience and you were able to make some money and basically to cover the course spent because you purchased the course. I believe it was like at least half of the of the money that you paid for the course. So I believe it's nice.
To be honest, like the experience was very nice because it like pretty much resembled what you would do on a private audit, just because you have the whole environment of like you communicating with the developer, running stuff through him, like asking him whether like he intends of like the protocol being used this way and stuff like that. So it pretty much resembled what you would see in a private audit at a firm, I believe. Like I haven't done such stuff, but like from what people have said, like it's a semi-collaborative process, and I felt the same way here. Like people helped each other, like we helped each other understand stuff, and like all of us managed to find some good stuff, I believe.
That's very interesting, and I'm glad that you had this experience and was able also to win like the second place and win also some monetary reward. It's cool. And it's very impressive to hear that only 4 months and you're able to make so much success in Web3 security in your young age. I'm really impressed. And another thing that I wanted to discuss with you about is the fact that you were actually chosen among, we have around 600, a bit more than 600 students in the community, and we choose some of them to be interns in private audits of GingerSecurity, and you was chosen. And it was last week or 2 weeks ago where we did an audit together. So it was, first of all, I want to say that I really enjoyed working with you, and really I'm very impressed by your dedication and you're very professional. and smart, and it was very fun working with you and talking with you. And you also brought a lot of value to this audit. You found, if I'm not wrong, like one high severity and one medium severity finding. With the randomness, we cannot expose and disclose, basically tell now what was the audit about, but maybe in the future we'll have another video where we cover this particular audit and the findings. But it was super, super fun and interesting working with you. So first of all, congrats of like, you're very engaged. You did a course, you did auditing contest, you did a contest in the community, and you participated as an intern in one of our private audits, and it's amazing. And can you tell me a bit about like this kind of experience where you were intern in a private audit? How did it feel?
It kind of felt like how you feel in a like public contest. Like essentially, you had a team of friends who essentially were doing the contest with you. You ran ideas through each other. You tried like understanding what the intention of the protocol is, how it's intended to be used, what is meaningful and what is not. The main difference I spotted between doing a like public audit and testing is that like when you are doing like Code Arena or Shelllock, the main thing that you're looking for is unique edge case vulnerabilities which no one else finds, so you can like essentially like stand out in a way. And in private audits, you are like looking mostly for essentially stuff that are actually uh, like most valuable to the protocol. Like you need to like bring everything out, like every minor thing that you have as a comment, you need to like share it with like the protocol team just so they are aware of it and that they know a lot of it, like all about it. And it's not the same in like Sherlock. Like there you only like submit medium severity and high severity findings, and that's it. You don't like talk about why this part of the code may not like function in the best way, how this can be like re-implemented. Um, Essentially, they are not looking for your expertise there, but they are mostly looking for some unique edge case vulnerability, and hence that is what you get paid most for there. And here it's like you providing a like all around service, I guess.
This is true. Yeah, the approach is a bit different, and the focus is basically to bring the most amount of value to the client, and also make sure that the contracts are safe and cannot be hacked. It's not about finding this unique finding and gem that will get you rewarded, but ensuring that the client is actually having secure code, and so you feel confident that he can deploy the contracts on mainnet and they won't get hacked. And this is the main difference. And also we had some like video calls and live sessions where we did pair auditing. It was very, very fun. And I wanted you to ask you about how was this experience for you? If it was different than things like auditing contest, if it was valuable, if it was engaging, like how was this experience, this kind of live sessions that we did?
It felt pretty close to home because I've been doing like group audits for the past few months, like the past month and a half probably. So like it felt pretty close to what I was doing like previously. But it actually like enriched me a lot because we did it in a more collaborative manner. Like we essentially went over stuff and like ran ideas to each other live instead of like just writing it somewhere on Discord and checking it out later. Like it was very collaborative and like very helpful essentially. Like it helped a lot.
Cool. Do you feel that you improved your skills after this like internship, after this audit? Like what were the skills that it helped you improve?
So essentially all the skills that I improved upon were like of course communicate kind of like communication, like doing stuff like in the running ideas to each other live wasn't something that I was like doing previously because I don't know if you experience the same type of stuff, but like when you talk with someone and try like auditing with them, you first of all probably aren't like that good of friends, and you essentially don't know what to say and what not to, so you don't like embarrass yourself essentially. So it was very different. Like we ran all sorts of ideas to each other, which was like essentially an eye opener. Like you like essentially removed all sorts of like values and started like like letting your mind flow in a sense. Like this is the best way I can explain it.
Cool. Yeah, it's more like a team effort and not like everyone is trying to show what he knows, but we are sharing ideas, we are supporting each other. And the main goal is for getting as much value as the client. We don't compete each other like auditing contests and stuff.
That's because that's like the whole value, like the whole different end result that you want is essentially what made it much different.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so thank you for sharing your experience. And actually, I wanted to ask you about your plans and goals. You know, when I ask people, they're already in their 20s or 30s, but you're just 16. So I want to ask you, like, what are your goals? Like, do you have like a vision, a roadmap? How do you see yourself by the end of the year, by next year? Like, do you have any goals?
So I cannot like answer the question in a term that is longer than like 90 days because like my life is very dynamic in terms of what I do. Like 90 days ago, I was just uh like like coming into the sphere, and like 180 days ago, I was like doing completely different stuff. And if we like keep going backwards, you see like a 90-day like period in which like after that period, I was like doing some advanced concept, and before that I was essentially just playing dumb games on my computer and stuff. So there is definitely a lot of dynamics that go into like how I do technically. But like in the short term, I'm looking to like publish my blog, start like doing more educational content as well. Like I actually really like sharing some like vulnerability breakdowns and stuff like that, like actually sharing value to people. So this is probably what I'm going to grow, and also maybe finding some unique stuff as well, like the one that I just found.
This is very nice goals. By the way, we forgot to mention that you're doing all this meanwhile graduating, like you have like your high school final exams. So you managed to do all this while doing all the exams. How is it going together? How is it working together?
I suppose good. We'll see about that.
We'll see the
Like
grades. We'll see the grades. But I think it's more interesting for you, like the notification from the contest rewards rather than the grades. What are you more excited about?
Of course, the concept, like the context. It's like the thing I'm like mostly engaged with, and also a thing about it is that like having 6 hours of your day like chopped off just by doing nothing related to tech actually hurts you a little bit in a sense, but like you just need to like deal with it in a way.
Yeah, this is cool. Do you have any goals in terms of your test, or this is not something that you put aside?
Not really. Not really.
You like to
I'm
focus on
mostly interested.
the real thing, on the real world.
Yeah, the best test is like finding the most HMs in a contest.
So that's about it. I believe it was super interesting talking with you, Chris, and I'm impressed. And now that I saw your first time, I'm even more impressed and proud also that you are also my student. So it's beautiful, and thank you so much for joining the community, for being awesome, and for contributing to the community. And I just wanna give you a shout out, and if people want to communicate with you or reach out to you, so they can either text you on Discord or follow you on Twitter, right? I believe in Twitter it's Chris Apost 1, right? I will share it on the video and in the description. And on Discord, what is your Discord handle?
Chris Apostolov, I believe.
Chris Apostolov. So we will share both, like both a Twitter handle and Discord handle. So if you guys want to ask questions, Chris, or just connect with him and be friends, that's also cool. And once again, I want to thank you so much for being here. I really enjoyed this conversation, and wishing you the best of luck with your continuous amazing journey.
Thank you, man. That was an amazing talk and an amazing experience like as a whole. Thanks a lot, man.